Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchak, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional.
Hello, everyone. This is Amy Babinchak with Third Tier and with my good friend, James Kernan. How are you doing, James?
Hey, I'm doing great, Amy. How's it going today?
It's awesome. Today's a good day. I love fall weather. It's my favorite. Yeah. I think it's a lot of people's favorite. It's warm. Humidity's gone. It's just super nice outside right now. So let's get this podcast booked so we can go spend more time out in it.
There you go. There you go. Well said.
Hey, we got some really interesting topics today, I think. So let me ask first, though. Hey, James, did you do anything fun this weekend?
Did I do anything fun? Hello. Actually, I did, but my youngest son got married this weekend, so it was a combination of family reunion / all the excitement and emotions around your son getting married. So nice. It was a beautiful ceremony, a lot of fun. I'm exhausted today, but it's all good. It was fantastic.
I know you have a large family, so that must have been quite the party.
It was quite the party. I think we had almost 40 plus people at the house on Thursday, and it was the partying and visitors all started Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the ceremony was Saturday. So needless to say, I'm recovering.
Well, nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
It sounds like it was an event to remember for the couple.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like Christmas, how you put all the time and energy into the holidays, and then you wake up the next day after Christmas and it's like, wow, is it over? It happened too quick.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I didn't do anything quite as fun as that, but in fact, we don't even need to talk about what I did this weekend, but I just kind of puttered around the house. But sounds like you had an amazing time. Yeah. So let's talk about our MSP question of the week. This is honestly my favorite part of this podcast, and I think it is yours too, when we get to talk about the things that are really important to our audience. And today's question is, we are struggling with recruiting. How do I find good people? I mean, this is kind of a perennial question, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And it's interesting. The technology unemployment rate is so low. We all know that. Yeah. And really, it depends on where you're at around the country. But what we've learned, through COVID is the world is flat and more people are hiring remote workforce. And you can get that skill set that you need regardless of your geography if you're open to that hybrid employee or full-time remote employee. So, that's one thing to consider. Is it going to be a remote employee, or do they have to be in the office every single day? Because that's going to change the scope of what you're looking for. But
I think that's a really important point there. Let me just jump in. Reading a lot of the business articles today, when firms, and of course they're focusing on large firms, and we're generally talking to smaller folks, but I think it still holds true. Employees are looking for flexibility.
Right.
So in part of your recruiting, make sure that you're offering flexibility. It's gone very, very poorly for firms that have, come down hard on, 5 days a week in the office every day. Make sure you're sitting in your chair. It's the employees have the upper hand right now because the job market is tight. Everybody's got a job and everybody's looking to hire. So they have their pick of where they want to work. And so they're looking for things beyond a job with good pay. They're looking for flexibility. They're looking for benefits that are, going to add value to the job for them.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. And What's preferred is, not full-time on site or not full-time remote, but it's that hybrid position, that balance that most people are looking for. So that's specifically, I think, what Amy's talking about is that hybrid employee, the ability to do both. So
Yeah. So I would say, make sure that you're creating jobs that pay well. Make sure that you're creating jobs that have great benefits. As small businesses, I think we have an advantage on the benefits side of the world. And I hear sometimes, people say that, oh, I can't afford to give my employees health insurance. Well, I think that's you haven't looked at it hard enough then.
Right.
Because, I'll say I have a bit of a bias on this because for me, it was very important. I've said, nobody was going to go bankrupt on my watch because of healthcare costs. Right. So if something terrible happened to them, I didn't want any of my employees going bankrupt. I wanted them to have good insurance for their family to back them up.
Yep.
And that's something here in the States we have to be really concerned about. It's the number one reason for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And so I did pay for health insurance, and yeah, it's expensive, but it is something that creates loyalty in employees, creates long-term employees, attracts really quality employees too, I thought.
Yep.
And then the other thing we did was to be very flexible on time off. I took away the idea of 2 weeks vacation and just called them, days.
Yeah.
Right.
We called it PTO. Yeah. The personal.
Yeah.
time.
You can use them for whatever you want, whenever you want, in whatever increment you want. And so, the only guardrail I put around that was as a small business with only 4 technicians, I said, only 2 people can be on vacation at the same time. So that didn't require a whole lot of juggling, but, a little bit. And that's fairly common in large businesses as well. My sister worked for Grand Trunk Railroad during her career, and they had to put in all their vacation time at the start of the year for that juggling reason, right? Everybody had very specific roles in the department she was in. And so, they had to know exactly who was going to be out when and where, and they didn't have that flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. I love the flexibility with time off. That's big. One other thing that I think we miss because we're just so absorbed in it, we're used to it, but we forget that it's a huge perk, especially for people that are new to the industry or outside of our industry coming in, but the learning opportunities, the learning and the training.
Training's huge.
Make a big point about adding that as a perk and a benefit of your company, that there's an enormous learning opportunity for you to increase your skills, and whether it's, a technical position, a management position, or a sales position, there's all sorts of fantastic training. A lot of it's for free, you guys, directly from the manufacturers, from the distributors. There's a lot out there in the channel, these learning events that Amy and I go to. There's a lot of free training, but then there's also a lot of good paid training as well. There's a new up-and-comer. Bigger Brains is a great one. Empath is another great one that's up and coming. So check those out as well. But don't underestimate, make sure you're listing that and explaining the full value proposition when you're recruiting people, so they understand it's just not a paycheck. There's all these other great perks and benefits that you get.
Yeah, especially tech people, they want to learn. They generally crave learning. And, learning is what's going to make them move up in their career, right? As they have a wider skill set, and they recognize that. And so they are looking for those opportunities. I did have employees, tell me during the interview, that's the thing they were most excited about, was coming to some place that had regularly scheduled training.
Right.
And so yeah, I learned to make a big deal about that, and it did draw people in. So I guess the thing is, how do you find good people? you offer good jobs, right?
Yeah, you know, to Amy's point, and I think what we're saying is you need to attract really good people first. And I ask a kind of a loaded question, it's kind of a corny question. When people ask me this, it's like, hey, would you want to go work for your company? Are you attractive? Are you attracting A players? You know, and you think about it, and a lot of you can't say yes, unfortunately, but you can fix it really quick.
Yep.
So you need to attract a good talent with exactly what Amy's been talking about.
Yeah. All right. So,
but there's a couple other things though, real quick on that topic. I just wanted to say a lot of clients of mine are having, and it's hit and miss based on the geography, but LinkedIn jobs is a good place to recruit. I like using in social media in general, you know, Facebook, Instagram, or more specifically LinkedIn, just pointing out that you're recruiting. Hey, we're hiring right now. We're growing, we're expanding, and we're always looking for dynamic talent. That's a great social media post for people to see. You know, people are attracted to success and they're attracted to growth. So I have a running campaign of that anyway. So you get resumes, but LinkedIn jobs, and then Indeed is Indeed.com is another online service that has seemed to work pretty well for most of my clients.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've used both of those as well. Had better luck with Indeed than LinkedIn, but also had very good luck with social media posting. Just posting into LinkedIn and posting into groups, particularly groups that you're active in. Right, social media is not very effective if you're just showing up, you know, once every 6 months to post a job opening.
Right.
What's really going to attract people to you is that they see you and they kind of get to know you based on the things you're posting or commenting into that group. And then when you're hiring, some of those people will be like, yeah, I'd love to go work there.
Right.
You know, they already have an impression of you. So that's some really good tips. All right, let's talk about the news. There was a couple of interesting things in the news that I think is going to really impact the way you make decisions for your clients. So first thing, ConnectWise, if you're a ConnectWise firm, you've got some new choices for backup because they just acquired Axcient and SkyKick.
Yeah.
And both of those are backup firms. And it kind of surprises me when they buy two backup firms at the same time, but each one has their own strengths.
Yeah. They do some different things.
Different focus, right? Which I think is important. You know, when I was looking for Microsoft 365 backup, I looked at different firms than I was going to look at for server backups. And that's exactly what ConnectWise bought. They bought Axcient, whose major focus is servers, and SkyKick, who is more focused on 365, and also I think they do Google Suite backups as well. So, so the online Suite backups, and of course, SkyKick was an early leader in the migration to 365, and also between Google and 365, they do that as well. So they sound like some good buys for ConnectWise, because those are two really name brand firms for sure.
Yeah, they both have been around for a long time, and they're strong partners. They have a strong following. So, I mean, kudos to ConnectWise for pulling that off. It is interesting. They're doing it at the same time, but I like it for ConnectWise. It was interesting, Amy. I went out right when I heard the news. I jumped on Reddit and I went through social media and just kind of was Googling. I was trying to get in the forums and read what the vibe is, what the chat is, you know, what people's demeanor was. Do they like it? Do they not like it? And it was really a mixed bag across the board. Most people are just, you know, let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I think, you know, for ConnectWise, right, does Axcient and SkyKick have strong enough followings that they would gain new ConnectWise suite, if you will, customers? Of course, they hope they will. For the non-ConnectWise folks, they of course hope they'll still be able to buy Axcient and SkyKick a la carte without having to sign on to everything. And Kaseya, of course, has been doing the same thing here. These two companies are really both consolidating the market big time.
Mm-hmm.
And some folks are happy because they're already bought into either ConnectWise or Kaseya, so they're happy to see new acquisitions coming in. It makes it easier for them. But the folks outside of those are a little less happy. So I get the whole mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's real interesting to see how it's going to shake out.
Yeah. I think time will tell, right? Time will
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah. All right. Another thing that came up, and this speaks to all of you that have not upgraded your clients to Windows 11 yet, is not only is Windows 10 going out of support, but the earlier versions of Windows 11 are going out of support. So, and this is really starting, I believe, because this next version of Windows 11, at one point I was hearing rumors of Windows 12, and that is this release that would be coming out. And ultimately, they decided that that's not what it was going to be called or what it was going to be, but that's sort of where we're at in the timeline.
Right.
And that you're seeing those original Windows 11s falling off. So if you're still on Windows 10, well, you're really, really behind. So keep an eye out. Some of these updates in Windows 11 are becoming mandatory.
Right.
So if you're on 10, you obviously have your blocks in to prevent that upgrade to Windows 11. And if you want to stay in the past for some reason, you're going to have to do that to some of your Windows 11 machines. I'm, of course, a big fan, as I make no bones about, of staying up to date all the time, because I think we don't have the luxury of staying in the past anymore. The security world is too dangerous out there. The rate of change is so great. The rate of change is largely driven by the number of hackers that are out there and their professionalism, forcing these security updates to just come at us at an ever increasing speed.
And I think that's exactly what Microsoft's doing, and they're moving quicker than normal. But it's really security that's driving the security enhancements. That's really driving the forced upgrade and forced changes.
Yeah, it really does. So get out there and update. Now, on the consumer side of things, of course, Apple had its big announcement last week. It was kind of a big yet somewhat ho-hum announcement. It's the new release of phones, new release of watch, new release of AirPods. And there is an interesting thing there. When they do a new release, just like we talked with Microsoft, an older release falls off of support, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some iPhone earlier models are falling off, but interestingly, so is my iPhone 15. Because the iPhone 15 Pro is using a processor that isn't going to be supported. If you have the non-Pro version, it continues in support, but if you don't, the support for it's going to end. And so I have the Pro, so my support's actually ending much earlier than anticipated. Got to say, I'm not too happy about that. But for everyone without a Pro version of the phone, their support continues as normal. Very interesting. Also, if you take a look at really the broad spectrum of what they've been releasing in phone and iPod and watch, a lot of it revolves around health. And there's been a lot of speculation, especially in the stock market, and a lot of things Apple's doing. It's really making strong moves into the health business. The new iPods and watch come with new health features. The iPods are leaning into. They have a hearing aid feature. They will test your hearing and automatically adjust for the nuances of your hearing from that point forward.
Very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then the watch is getting sleep apnea detection, which I was just at Build It Live conference this last week,
Yep.
and they had a whole health track at that conference, which I found really interesting. And one of them was on sleep, and I happened to attend it. And the guy said that, sleep apnea affects 75% of the population.
Wow.
75%. It's not just the elderly overweight person that gets it. He was a tall, thin guy, and he said he has it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot more than people think.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that juxtaposition was really interesting. I'm at this conference. There's a health track. I went in there to see what it was about. The speakers were phenomenal. They were all MDs and, professional people talking about different health aspects and relating it back to the IT community. And then Apple had their big announcement on health. So just interesting to see the health emphasis coming into our space.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, good stuff going on. Do you have any events coming up here in the fall that you're attending?
I don't. I normally go down to Australia in the fall, and I opted out this year. I'm just going to sort of take it easy. And then come just after the first of the year, I do have a couple of things lined up. We can talk about those when we get a little bit closer. But for fall, it's going to be real quiet, and that'll be different for me. I think I'm going to really enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm jealous. You'll enjoy the weather. I've got a very busy travel schedule coming up starting late this month in September. There's 2 events in Denver I'm speaking at an M&A workshop, and then the Mastermind Live event downtown. That will be fun. We actually get a chance to tour the Total security facility. Total's headquarters is down there. So nice. They'll be hosting that meeting, and on Friday we'll meet their executives and go through their facility firsthand. So that's really cool. And then in October, I'll be back in California at the SMBTechfest, talking M&A again. So it seems like M&A is all over the place. And then there's a little event down in Dallas the first week or second week of December that I'll be at Channel Pro. Or Channel Program. The Channel Program M&A Forum is going to be down there.
Okay.
That's so. Then I think after that, then I get a coast for the rest of the year and enjoy the holidays like you.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I get to keep my boat in a couple of weeks longer, so I'm hoping to take advantage of that. Normally, I'd be rushing to get that all taken care of so that I could be on the road at stuff. So I'm just, this has been kind of a little quieter year for me, really, and it's intentional, and I have been enjoying it. So lets me focus on some different things. So you're busy though, and I agree. M&A is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had Rand Lucianico and I have had Sell My MSP for 9 years now, and we've been doing that, kind of on the down low, a little here, a little there, just doing things as they come up. And we're going to have a new product coming up for the new year. So I'm starting to get to work on that too. So yeah, M&A is still hot, and it's amazing. It's been hot for, I don't know. I don't think it was quite as hot when we started to Sell My MSP 9 years ago, but it's probably been hot for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, I just think there's more and more opportunities, and it's easier, the more financing options. People are getting aware, and I just think the activity has picked up. So that's clearly a hot topic at every event you go to. There's someone talking about M&A all the time. So
yeah, it used to be just the big firms engaged in M&A,
right?
And I took advantage of it in my firm.
Mm-hmm.
Doing 4 small acquisitions during the 23 years that I had it. And I know you did acquisitions in your firm when it was small too. And so I'm really glad to see that I think some of the reason we see so much talk about it and so much activity now is that it's now the norm for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Even the small firms see the opportunities to enhance their growth through.
And there's a lot more activity at the small MSP level because that's not really newsworthy. You're not seeing all of that in the news. You're always just hearing about the big ones. But trust me, there's a ton of activity going on for the little guys. And it's a funny point you brought up, Amy, that it was really just the enterprise companies originally, because that's where I learned, M&A was when I worked for a $300 million company. I was a partner in that business, and we went through 4 acquisitions. That's kind of where I learned firsthand, what that looks like. And it's like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then, when you're smaller, you can do that yourself or work with a broker. But take advantage of those opportunities. Back to the question of the day about recruiting. Another way of recruiting a great team, not just a great person, but a great team, is to acquire their company. Right.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. When my company was acquired, the employees were an important part of that. They wanted every employee, and it's additional skill sets, additional people, so you can really expand what you have, not just by the number of customers and the amount of revenue, but those people discussions are really, really important too. Maybe we can take that on as a question sometime as we talk more and more about M&A, about, how important the people acquisitions are and the advantages that they can bring to you.
Yeah, that's a great point. We had, we did have another question around M&A, but Amy and I kind of chose the recruiting one as the primary question of the week, and we'll save this other M&A one for next week. But just like always, we'd love to hear from you. So if you're listening to the program now and you've got a question or a comment, reach out to James at KernanConsulting.com or the SMBCommunityPodcast.com website. Amy and I would love to hear from you, and we'd love to help solve your problem. So fire away with any questions or comments that you have.
Perfect. I love all the interaction that we've been getting. I mentioned to James before the start, so people are coming up to me when I am out at conferences, and I was out at Channel Pro last month and at Build It Live this month. Both times people are coming up to me and asking about the podcast, asking questions. So keep that interaction coming. James and I really, really love it. It's what keeps us going. And thank you for your participation, for listening to the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you next week.